I will turn things over now to my colleagues from the Newcomb-Tulane College Career Services area and the Freeman Career Management Center. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. So my name is Kathryn Santanilla. I am the Assistant Director in NTC, which is Newcomb-Tulane College Career Services. So we serve all students, but we primarily serve liberal arts and science and engineering students.
And I'm Sarah Covert. I am the Director of Operations and Career Development here at AB Freeman School of Business Career Management Center. So excited to be here with you and to talk about our approximately 30 to 35% of the undergraduate population that we serve. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Yes?
Yes.
This is us. We just introduced ourselves. Let us also introduce our executive directors. And Eddie Cruz is also an assistant dean over in Newcomb-Tulane College Career Services. If you are looking to engage with our offices, you can reach out to any of us. And we will go ahead and share this slide again at the end to make sure that you have our contact information.
Just kind of a little bit about how we operate. So we tend to, and reaching out to us is great to find out what our offices do. And we love to talk to parents and let you know how our offices operate and how we function. We also try to keep that separate from our career consultants who meet with students so that students have privacy meeting with their career consultants and can have kind of good conversations thinking about their goal setting, their goal planning, and those kinds of things. So we do try to keep that separate, but also we want the parent engagement. And one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is a new resource for that that's helpful, because I think in the past, a lot of our events and everything were published on Handshake, which has student access to it. It's more difficult to see for parents. And we have a great new platform that we're going to talk about tonight, in addition to that, that lets you see the events that are happening on campus. And so that you can see kind of what's going on, what kind of events, what kind of employers are happening on campus.
And we wanted to talk a bit about how career services has shifted and how career services is less about placement, which is a word that we often hear, and more about empowering our students for lifelong career engagement and management to make sure that they know how to set up their own strategy, how to do the networking that they need, how to do the research that they need, how to advance their career once they're within organizations, as opposed to just coming and asking that a job be handed to them that isn't necessarily the right job. So we want absolutely the best outcome for your student.
We're also current statistics are that most students are going to have 20 to 30 different jobs in their career, and they're probably going to even switch careers a couple times in their career as well. And so that's why it's really important that we kind of come at this as a career development aspect, because this is not the last time they're going to be searching for a job. This is not the last time that they're going to be making a career change. And we want them to have the skills and have done this full circle while they're here at Tulane, so they can re-practice these skills at different points. We also realize some of our students are also going to potentially go to grad school. And so we work with students in that transition to grad school as well, knowing full well that many of our students are their next step may not be a career, but may also be graduate school as well.
So the best way for your student to get started with that is to schedule an appointment with one of our offices. We'll show you a little later when we show you the technological resource, how to go about making an appointment so that you can guide your student to do so. But the main point is that our career coaches and consultants are here to talk with your student through what their path, what their journey, and what their personalized needs are around their career.
So both of our offices do one-on-one appointments. And so that's what we'll show you how to do it as well. Our office also has drop-in appointments with our peers to do quick resume reviews and those kind of things quickly. And that's in the lobby of our office as well. And so we have a lot of resources geared, just those individualized appointments really help students. Tulane is, we find that our students double major, pick up minors, have very divergent career paths, and a lot of times are figuring out how those majors and minors fit into their future and how they could potentially use that. This one-on-one approach really helps your students be able to be like, okay, how is this going to look? What is this going to look like for me? How can I utilize this to my best advantage as moving forward, or sell this as a great skill set as I'm entering my job search, entering my internship search, or thinking about graduate school.
So that's the one-on-ones, but we also serve your students in a group capacity, and we have curricular options. Kathryn, want to talk about your career options first?
Sure. So we just recently went through a curriculum restructure for ours. And so we used to have ours are 1 credit hour courses. We have 2 now. We have 1 geared for that self-exploration beginning phase, starting to think about what your interests are, what your values are, what your majors might be, maybe exploring careers. So that kind of beginning phase, which traditionally freshmen and sophomores fall into, but not always. Some people will switch, deciding what they want to do while they're at college. That's very common. And so we'll see the class is open to any students. And we'll talk a little bit about the difference. Our career courses are not mandatory. And so we really encourage that if you have a student that is not a business student, but is starting to think about like what they might want to do with their future, picking up one of these career courses, it really gets them focused on it for a full semester. It meets 1 hour a week. It's not a huge commitment. The second class is more of an application side of things. So you've started to, you're ready to start applying for internships. You're ready to start applying for jobs. You're wanting to make sure your documents are ready. You're wanting to make sure your online presence is ready. You're wanting to make sure you're practicing those interview skills and actually figuring out networking and where to take it for the next steps. So that's kind of that second class. So it's CRDB 1060 and CRDB 1070.
We cover all of that in one course, which we call CDMA, Career Development and Management 1201, and it is required. So business school, business students, we're considered a professional school, and so we approach career education from a slightly different perspective. So our students are required to do that by the time they make it to their junior year. It's now open to freshmen in addition to sophomores. And if students are considering going into finance or consulting, we strongly encourage they take it earlier because those industries have started to recruit, as one professor calls it, larvae, students who are still developing, figuring out what they're wanting to do. Whereas some of our other students don't need to take it that early. They're good to take it in their sophomore year. We'll also be aligning next year our courses with CDMA and the business communications course and the capstone course so that there's a connected learning series for our students. So this year, CDMA 1201 is the required course. And then we also have advanced CDMA 4020, which is where students learn case interviewing skills and how to do a marketing plan and how to have parallel career searches in case they have different paths that they might want to go down.
So when we get to the website, we'll show you this a little bit more. But each semester, we have employers on campus all through the semester. It does slow down towards the end of the semester as finals. We can't have employers on campus in the middle of finals and in the middle of the study periods. But through the semester, we're going to have employers on campus. Each of our offices do various programming. Last semester, the business school had an outside industry expert come in and talk about case interviewing. It was an author who's written a book on case interviewing. It was an amazing presentation. So each semester, you're going to see offerings through both of our offices geared at our students and what they need. Our office also tends to go into classrooms a lot. So we will have a lot of classroom presentations as professors ask for us to go into classrooms on various topics they would see beneficial. So you'll see some of our staff going in to some of the senior capstone classes throughout the semester as well. So it varies. We do a lot of different programming. We do a lot of tabling on campus. A couple of weeks ago, we were set up a table at the student employment fair, and we were just doing resume checks at the student employment fair. So you'll see us a lot of different places on campus. We're going to show you later how you can see the list of kind of those bigger employers that are going to be on campus. Like last week, we had Goldman Sachs on campus, and they did 2 different series, one for business students and one for liberal arts or non-business students, liberal arts and science and engineering students and public health students more interested in Goldman Sachs. So we do those presentations in conjunction together, the business school as well. So you'll see a lot of our programming. The other thing that you'll see coming up as well on our list is our career fair. So we do a virtual career fair once a semester. So one in the fall, one in the spring. Ours is coming up on February 28th. It's from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And so the virtual career fairs are a little bit different. You have to register for them as a student. Obviously, it's free registration. And then you have to pick the employers you want to meet with. You can go to group sessions or you can go to individual sessions. Again, all of these events and what's going on, students can check their handshake to see it, or they can also, you and students can check the employer engagement platform as well.
And the main thing we want to encourage around going to employer events is that you don't have to know you want to work for that employer to go to that event. Potentially, you could go and discover you don't like that employer, and that would also be a positive. So we're always encouraging families to have their students recognize that this is an exploration and a process of looking around, deciding what cultures feel right, what industries feel right, what job functions feel right, and going from there. So never too early.
Never, and that was the other thing I was going to follow that up with. Freshmen, sophomore, juniors, our career centers are not just for seniors or juniors and seniors. I've talked to students that have transferred to Tulane and they're like, oh, where I came from before, it was only open to juniors and seniors. And that is not the case at Tulane. We love to have freshmen come in. I love working on freshman resumes because then students can see what's missing and what they might want to fill in and what they might experiences they need. Like once you start that working document, then you're like, oh, I need to get active on campus. I need to do this. I need to do this. And it kind of gives them some areas to fill in. And so same kind of thing with employer events. I've had students come back to me and say, this was an employer I met, when I was a sophomore at a networking event that Tulane hosted. And I reached back out and had this wonderful conversation, and it's been really helpful for me. So we really encourage, it's a great way to practice networking skills. And then we really encourage our students to go even and talk to people in different industries, because you never, IBM hires technical writers. So people with English degrees can do internal communications at IBM. It's a great place to work. You can work in different industries or different companies you wouldn't think. Many companies recruit for a multitude of different types of jobs, depending on the size.
So we're going to talk a bit about all the different technology we have for your student. Keep in mind, down here, you'll see the bottom bullet, career engagement portal, that everything we're about to talk about is in the same place. So we're super excited about this new vehicle we have for students to be able to find everything they could possibly need in one place, regardless of which college they associate with, which identity they associate with. Everything is there for them. So we're going to show you that in a minute, but we wanted to kind of run through a few of these resources first.
So I will start with Handshake. Handshake is probably our biggest platform that we use at Tulane, and it is for every school. It is our job and internship platform. It is also the site where students make appointments to meet with our staff, our career staff in NTC Career Services. They meet with the AB Freeman career management consultants on that site as well. Some of our other staff still meet in different ways, but we're going to show you all the ways to reach our staff to do those one-on-one appointments. Architecture has a different platform. Public health has a different platform as well. Those are, again, all those ways to schedule are on the career engagement site. But Handshake also mimics LinkedIn in a lot of ways. So if you're familiar with LinkedIn, usually when we tell our students create a Handshake, so every student who enters Tulane automatically has a Handshake account. That comes with being a Tulane student. Your Handshake account gives you access to all the employers who want to post jobs at Tulane and all the employers that want to post jobs on Handshake in general and open it up to all students. So you're going to see Handshake is probably used by a majority of colleges and universities across the United States. I would say probably in the 65 to 75%. I need to ask them and get exactly sure on that number, but it's one of the most used platforms for this. So we want all of our students to create accounts. It's a great thing to do to create your profile, because it does have a profile very similar to a LinkedIn profile at the same time that you're creating your LinkedIn profile. They're going to work for you in many ways. I have great stories. One of our student workers in our department, he got his job because an employer reached out to him on Handshake, and then he went and interviewed and got a job. So it is definitely, we usually encourage students to use it for job and internship search, because as opposed to a lot of the platforms out there, Handshake is geared towards college students who are leaving a university setting and going into that first job. And so it can be a great way to not see all the midlife career change jobs that could be out there, and not see things that require 10 years of experience, but see things that are really geared towards someone who is exiting a university setting or a college setting and moving into an employment situation. So it tends to have a lot more things that are lower on the amount of time that you need to have, worked in the industry prior to working in it. So Handshake is kind of that first, every student needs to activate their Handshake account as soon as they come to campus and start utilizing that account because it's going to benefit them for those jobs and internships.
Yep. And as they fill out their profile, the AI will start to suggest to them jobs and internships that might be of interest. So the more that they figure out what they want to do, the better. But if they're still exploring, that's going to lead us into Focus 2 and Career Leader. So Kathryn, I know a little bit less about Focus 2, but I do know that it guides you into helping to choose your major. Is that right?
It does. And it's also mimics it. So it utilizes, so you're going to take an interest inventory, you're going to take a personality inventory, and you're going to take a values inventory. And there are a couple other inventories on there, but those are the main three that you're going to take. Any student has access to this. It's on our website. Students may use it. It is geared towards being very self-sufficient. So like a student could take this at midnight, read their results, be able to utilize their results. Words of advice for any interest inventories. We use this as a way to expand possibilities and not as a way to cut things out. So you want to use this as, okay, this is a way to increase the things that I'm considering and viewing. So it's going to align with Tulane's majors, and you can also align it with careers as well and use some of the Department of Bureau of Labor Statistic resources to research careers further. It connects to those. So it'll help give you a profile. If you take one of the sections, it can be helpful. If you go ahead and take all three, it's going to triangulate that information and start guiding you towards careers that you might want to consider and add to that list of careers you're considering or majors that you're considering, depending on how you're using it.
For our students in the business school, in our career development and management required course, we give the career leader assessment. So sort of the opposite in that students who know they want to go into business often don't know what kind of business they want to do. And so what our inventory assessment does is allows students to narrow in on the things that they're particularly a good fit for. So we look at their interests, their motivators, and their skills. And then it's mostly based on interest because we've discovered through different algorithms that that's what works. If you like what you do, you tend to be happier. But the motivators are important too. So things like financial gain or altruism or security help you to know whether or not a job or a particular industry is right for you.
And that also will be that values component on the Focus 2. Like thinking about what is important to you, what motivates you, it definitely can drive you towards certain careers.
So once you kind of know what you're interested in, then you need to know more. So the next thing is going to be doing a ton of research. So we have for a long time used the Vault guides here at Tulane, and that is available for students. It's both the guides, like the thick, this is how you learn about different potential jobs within different industries, but then also it's a website called Firsthand Vault that you can go in and search for different things and learn. And then we have a brand new tool on the career engagement site.
And these are the labor market insights. And so you can type in different careers and find out those kind of labor market trajectories. So you'll see one of these at the bottom of the main part of the site. Students can dig through, type in things and get some ideas on where things are heading and what it looks like.
And then you can start thinking about applying. So resumes are next up. VMock is a tool that we have that allows students to upload a resume in any format, and it will help it to transition into a format that gets past ATS systems, automatic tracking systems. So there are a few different benchmarks within our VMock setup. So if you're liberal arts or science and engineering, you have a little bit more leeway to pick what kind of format you want, whereas in the business school, we have a very specific Freeman format resume that we've developed with the conversations with our employers and alumni. So if your student is in the Freeman school, we do ask that you tell them that they should have their resume in the Freeman format. VMock also then will dig in on the content of the resume, not just the formatting, and figure out if there are things that the student can do to improve the resume before they even meet with a career consultant or coach.
So this is really so that we can, when they actually meet with one of our coaches, when they meet with one of our consultants, they can get down to the language They can get down to, you know, how the bullet points are written, making sure things are grouped the way they need to be grouped, making sure things are showcased, making sure deliverables are on there, and kind of get rid of, have that formatting be out of the way and be figured out through some of the software.
And what's great about it is it's available 24/7 also. So we do go home at night, but if your student is working on their resume in the middle of the night, they can still get a little bit of feedback at least.
The other tool that we have is Big Interview, and I think both of our classes use this as a resource as well. So CDMA does it and CRDV does it, but any student has access to use it. And this again is, it's a platform that, so it's web-based, it's great, it's easy to use. It's a platform that you can pick banks of questions to ask you as you practice for an interview. So this is great. Many of our students are still doing virtual interviews for their first time interviews. It can also be great if you have a lot of our students are still doing video interviews as a screening technique as well. And so it'll mimic very closely what a video interview will be like, because it's not a live person in front of you, it's a voice asking you these questions. And so it gives you that chance in the recording, and then you can watch your recordings afterwards. We find, and I think I can speak for both Sarah and I, a little bit of interview prep goes a long way. Like if you start doing a little bit of interview prep, you're going to start seeing the results just dramatic. And so being able to go back and watch yourself, see how many likes and see if you could follow the conversation and the thread of your answer, those kinds of things can be helpful. And so a lot of times, so our classes use this as a way to help students, you know, prep for interviews or prep for their mock interviews. A lot of our classes have a mock interview component built into it. But we also will be like, once a student has met with us to practice the interview, we will also say, if you want to continue practicing, this is a good resource to continue practicing. And then you can always set up additional appointments with us as well.
All right, so moving right along, you now know how to interview, so you're ready to start applying for jobs. We talked about the postings that are on Handshake. There's also a few other sites that we offer, Going Global and Careernomics, that both have tons of job postings on them, and again, are focused on specific things. The nice thing about Going Global is that you can look for a job anywhere in the world, and it pulls in tons and tons of opportunities there. And also it has country guides and city guides. So if your student's looking outside the country, they can find things that are potentially in Madrid or in Paris or in Cape Town, right? And then it also has a ton of resources for our international students around the OPT and CPT process. So obviously the Office of International Students and Scholars is going to be your first go-to for that, but Going Global is a great support as well. And Careernomics has leadership development programs and other jobs on it, as well as also international.
Going Global also has one other aspect that I really like. Resumes in the US are very different than resumes in other countries. So it's going to give you guidelines on how to guide your resume for applying to jobs in other countries as well. That can also be beneficial for international students as well. But then again, we also meet with our international students to ensure their resumes are ready to go as well.
So with that, we are going to share our career engagement portal. We'll also put the link in the chat so that you can go check it out. And I'm going to stop sharing the presentation, but we'll bring it back up so you can get our contact information at the
end. Okay, so I am sharing the career engagement portal right now. I'm hoping everybody can see it. This is something we soft launched, I think, back in August or late summer. So I will say it is work in progress. We are working on getting things kind of the way we want it, but it is a great resource to see all the resources. Part of the reason we started the career engagement portal is because the Black Student Union put out some demands in 2020 that said not all career services across campus were accessible by all student populations. And so the result of that was creating a centralized site for all students to be able to access all career resources so that every student has access to VMOC, every student has access to Big Interview, and they're all in one spot and they're easy to find. So that's the end result of this platform. And we're super excited to be able to share it with you today. So a couple of the things that we're thinking about kind of as we go through this, And Sarah put it in the site. Please play around with it and see what's there. It's always going to have a banner picture of something happening on campus or what's going on, those kinds of things. It's got a bunch of resource buttons just below that. The first one I'm going to click on, and Sarah, stop me if I'm going in the right direction or wrong direction, is that schedule an appointment. So this is your place to schedule an appointment with a one-on-one career consultant or career coach or career advisor. And you can see the different School of Business has it, the AB Newcomb-Tulane College has it, School of Public Health has it, the Office of Postdoctoral and Graduate Studies has it, and our School of Architecture has it. So these are all the appointment links. You can click on the appointment link. Some of them will take you to Handshake to book the appointment. Some of them will take you here. A couple other cool appointments that our students can make. Tulane has a diplomat in residence. He works for the Department of State. His name is Shane Huff. He meets with students virtually and in person. And his ability to make appointments is on here as well. Tulane is also, and this has been spearheaded by the AB Freeman School of Business, but also has recruiters in residence. And so we also have a recruiter in residence. Our current recruiter in residence is Kristen Marks. She works with Bernhard, which is an engineering firm heavily located in New Orleans area, but it's a huge engineering firm, so it hires in a lot of different capacities. But she is our recruiter in residence for that, and she meets students on a one-on-one basis as well. So those are a couple extra things on there. If you have students who are interested in the State Department, we highly recommend. Shane is wonderful, that they meet with him and schedule an appointment. He's also worked across the world and has resources kind of on navigating that as well. So this is kind of that one-stop place to kind of schedule appointments, and students have access to that. If we go back to the main page, so this is, it will also take you to the different pages for the career centers, and you're going to be able to see our staff and everyone's email address and bios on our staff as well. So if you click, I think our staff on this one is over here. If you click on one of the, I'm clicking on myself, but anyway, if you click on staff members, you'll see the staff. This is our NTC's Career Services Career Coaching staff, our Employer Engagement Manager, our 2 career educators are on here as well. So you can see our full staff. It's got our mission, vision, and values. It's got the career engagement model that we follow. So it's got a lot of information. Each of the staff members has a bio, and they have their email address posted. So our office and you're not given a career coach within our office. So we highly recommend that students read the bios of our coaches and find one that matches, their skill set. I will give you an example. I come from a counseling background, and I come from a nonprofit background. So I tend to get students who have read that about me and want to chat with me about those things. So definitely that's something that we highly recommend. And I know Sarah can talk a little bit about how the CMC does that as well.
Yeah. So we have a group of consultants who specifically works with our undergraduates, and then a group that works with our graduate students, but the graduate consultants oftentimes meet with our undergrads as well. So total, that's 10 career consultants. We've got a leadership team with 4 people on it: career ed, employer engagement, operations and career development, and our executive director. And then we have some administrative folks on the team as well, and a brand new employer engagement person specifically for diversity recruiting strategy. So that's very exciting. Same thing, you can just click on our picture. It'll take you to the bio and tell you about us. If your student knows what they want to major in and they don't know anything else and they're still trying to figure out who they want to meet with, we can make a referral to a specific person. But same thing, we have people who have had more than 1, sometimes 2, 3 decades of experience in the business world. So they make a particular kind of career coaching profile for you. And then we also have industry experts in residence that our consultants can refer to. So those are folks who work out in the field, who have connections, and who can educate them on what to expect within that industry.
So other neat things about how this site is arranged. So you'll be able to go to our career offices. Okay, I was like, it was not letting me go back to the homepage. Sorry. You'll be able to go to our career offices. We also, so knowing career paths in general are not major doesn't always equal career. And so we want to acknowledge that. So we have these 10 industries or these 10 career paths that we highly recommend that students start to explore, look through, and see the resources. So architecture and design is one of them, arts, media, and communications, business management and finance, consulting, education, and human services. I think last time we talked to the director of the career department over in public health, he said #1 field that his students are going into now is consulting. So you're going to see a lot of, and probably more on the leaning of healthcare consulting, but you're going to see a lot of our students going into like different areas, law, government, policy and nonprofits, marketing and sales, public health and health sciences, real estate, and then kind of your STEM fields as well. There are affinity group resources as well, and you'll be able to go through different affinity groups. Some of these guides are still being built out, so they're going to be more, as you continue to check back into this resource, you'll see more. We break it down by skills that you may want to explore. We have our resume templates on the site. The Freeman Career Center has their resume templates on the site, advice about how to write cover letters, all those kinds of things. So as you dig through the site, you're going to see a lot of various resources on here that can be beneficial. If you still have questions after you dig through the site, we're going to head back to the page and answer any questions as well. Sarah, was there anything else we wanted to cover on the site right now?
Can we click on the parents and families tab just to see what kind of stuff is here?
Yes.
So I think there are probably specific articles that we have tagged for parents and family. Mm-hmm. And we mentioned the events feed. It's right there on the right as well.
Yes, events feed is on the right. If I go back to the front page, you're going to see events feeds on here as well. You're also going to see job feeds and internship feeds, because we know that can be beneficial for our students to kind of see those things cycling in front of them, and you'll see them on each of the pages. But this gives you, HSBC is coming for a virtual event. So you'll see kind of some of those resources up as well. Sorry about that.
All right, so back to sharing here. Okay. And we wanted to talk to you real quick about what you can also help us do. And that is getting your students to communicate back to us where they end up, both for their internships and for their final first destination, their job. That's the first one out of college. We ask for this because the data that we have is very important to the rankings, and the rankings help determine the value of your student's degree. So the more information the students willing to give us, the more we can hopefully keep Freeman and Tulane and all of our different colleges noticed by others and recognized for the quality education that they receive here. The other nice thing is that within the Freeman School, we take that information and put it in a research tools database so that students can then look up things like what's the average salary in St. Louis in consulting, so that they can negotiate for themselves when they're working on getting that first job offer.
And that also, you'll see that labor market index at the bottom of the career engagement site as well, so that they can look through that for each of the industries as well. This also so we have employer engagement specialists within the Freeman School of Business, within NTC's Career Center as well. And this helps us figure out where students are applying, what industries they're interested in, where the trends are going from our students, and it helps us gear recruiting efforts as well. So as much as students can fill out this survey, it can be beneficial.
So here we are again. In case you want to write down our email addresses, we would love to hear from you. And as we said, we can check with our coaches and consultants if there's anything specific that you need from them. But we do appreciate you telling us what you need, what your student needs, so that we can make sure that we have continuous improvement within our career centers.
And now I think we're ready to open it up. We're turning it back over to Penny.
Okay. So parents and family members, this is your opportunity to type in questions into the Q&A feature on your screen, and we'll start. I'll pose those questions to our panelists. So I know they presented a lot of information, so it's a lot to take in. Again, the slides and the link to the recording will be posted on the Family Programs website later if you need to kind of review things. We've got a question. So this person said, my daughter is a double major, business and sociology. Which career center should she start with?
I wonder if we're going to fight over her. No, I would recommend she come to the Freeman Career Center first because of that Freeman format resume, just making sure that we have everything aligned there, because students then upload their resumes into the Handshake platform to be approved, and we have it sorted such that all the Freeman students come through our center to get their resume approved. So I would say start here, but if she's exploring and she wants to think bigger and think about different ways in which she could use her sociology degree and her business degree, she's also welcome to meet with Kathryn's team.
So another question is,
let me throw out
Kathryn,
really
did I
quick.
interrupt you? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. I just wanted to throw really quick. We get students who go to both career centers all the time. This is common. So, and students will flip-flop back and they will go to one career center for one bit of, advice and another one for another advice. This is really common, and and we are excited to have students do it. It's great.
The next question is, where can we find more information about the career courses you mentioned? Are those are both described on that website, are they not?
So we do have that on our website. If you go to students, utilize your career center, and then the Freeman School of Business, there is in the first section, remember what Tori called it, she's my career ed person. But right there in the first section, there's a resource you can get to for the career ed courses.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Kathryn, will there be some sections that start later in the semester, or was that something that was phased out when you all changed?
No, it is not phased out. We do mid-semester sections. But since all of these classes are courses at Tulane, they are in the course catalog. So CDMA is in the course catalog as a course starter. Any CDMA classes are what Sarah was talking about, and the range of the ones in there will be there. CRDV is the course starter for ours. All these classes are in the course catalog because they're for credit classes. So that's a great place to resource it, and you can see the blurbs on any of the classes. You can also see the signups. For us, we do mid-semester sections. And so we do have a mid-semester section of each of the 1060 and 1070. Those are, they can be great if students start to realize they're twice a week. They start in the middle of the semester, so they'll be probably starting pretty soon right after Mardi Gras, and then they will go through the rest of the semester twice a week. That can be a great way if you've dropped another class, if you need another credit, it can be a great way to fill in and then also get some career content in addition.
Otherwise, the registration process for next fall's classes will start, I think, in April. Does that sound right? And they can sign up for something for next fall if they want. So the next question is, my son is going to start a one-year master's in the business school. How soon should the job search start? He's studying business analytics, so the opportunity is really wide open.
Oh, I love this question. The answer is as soon as possible. And that's because we really only have those students for a short amount of time, and we want to make sure that we have them as ready to go in terms of getting things going as possible. We take a lot of our students to an inclusive conference called the National Black MBA Conference, and there are employers there that every student is welcome to meet with. And those are employers that would not come to campus. So it gives them more opportunities. So we do encourage that if the student has been accepted, they're welcome to start reaching out to us right now.
Okay, next question. Would a sophomore find on-campus jobs in the Handshake platform?
Yes, all on-campus jobs are listed in Handshake. We moved all those over a couple years back. So that's another great reason for students to activate their Handshake account. Any of the federal work study and non-federal work study campus jobs are on Handshake.
So here's another question. My son is majoring in digital media and education. He's currently a first-year student. He's looking for an internship in either video game design or ed tech. Do you have any recommendations?
Yes, there's a firm here in New Orleans that we have a relationship with called Big Fish. So I would recommend looking them up and seeing whether they have any internships. If not, we can always make a connection just for an informational interview so that they can then connect your son to some other folks in the industry.
So the next question is, can you show how students can access internship opportunities for this summer? Also, is there a way for students to network with Tulane alumni in their field of interest?
Yes, to both of those. Internships are also listed in Handshake. And then also remember, all of our students have to do a tier 2 service learning. I typically recommend that tier 2 service learning, it is at a nonprofit, but a lot of times those tier 2 service learnings can be in an area that and be like an internship and fill your need as an internship as well and be put on your resume as an internship. So remember that tier 2 service learning. All Handshake lists internships as well. And so when you look on that first page of the career engagement site, you'll see internships listed as well. And as you go under the career pathways, you'll also see internships listed as well. Now is a good time to start looking for internships for the summer, depending on the industry. It might be a little bit late for some industries in the business school for sure, but definitely this is the time to start looking for internships. It's not too late for many industries.
Yeah, we also want students to know it's never too late, right? So just get out there, keep looking. A lot of people get them at the last minute too, so the ship has not sailed. I did want to show you real quick. This is my student profile. So if you click on jobs within Handshake, you can then use this all filters button. And in the all filters button, if it's still the way it was when I was consulting regularly, you go to this match all qualifications and you can choose the school year. And if your student has their profile set up correctly, it's going to show you 15,000 jobs for sophomores. So plenty of opportunity there.
And as you do it, you can click off internships. You can click off paid only. So it lets you put some quantifiers in there to fill the needs. There was a second part to that question. I feel like.
Yes.
I think it's about networking.
Yes, networking. How can they network with alumni?
So many ways. We actually encourage students to reach out to alums. So we can teach them how to use LinkedIn to find potential people to connect with. There's also a site called Tulane Connect, where our alums can create accounts and indicate that they're interested in networking with students or mentoring students. So we recommend using that site as well. And then all of the different events that we have on campus, there are tons of ways to meet alums that way as well. But basically, if your student knows what they want, they can feel free to come into any of our centers and indicate what they're looking for. And if we know somebody, we'll definitely make a connection once we have them prepared to take full advantage of that connection.
And I'll be honest, a lot of our employers who come to campus will bring, staff members who work with them who are Tulane alum as well. So you'll see a lot of alumni coming to campus when employers come to campus.
So another question is, which career service should a real estate student use?
Oh, what a good question. It depends on the kind of real estate. So there is a real estate development program in the architecture school, and there is a real estate finance program in the business school. That said, folks who work in real estate know each other. So if your real estate student isn't doing real estate finance and happened into our center, we would definitely still try to connect them with the right place.
And I will say that in general for any student, if they come to one of the career centers on campus, we will also let them know about the other career centers and the resources available on campus. So our advice usually is start somewhere, you will get to the right spot. Like we will make sure you get there.
Yeah,
I think that's the approach a lot of staff at Tulane have in these different resource areas. I've heard some people say, just tell them to go through any open door, and kind of trust that the person on the other side of the door networks with the other, helpers on campus, and will only help your student get to the right place, the best place, or another place that can be helpful. So another question is there a section for connecting with Tulane alumni? So we just answered that question about Tulane Connect. I will, it may take me a couple of days, but I will email all the parents who registered for the webinar and send you the direct links to some of these different things that have come up just to remind you so you don't have to do as much searching on the website. So another question is, how early should a first-year student start looking for an internship or a summer job?
It depends. It depends what they want to do for that summer. It depends kind of where they're at. I will be honest, a lot of first semester freshmen are really focused on making social connections while they're on campus and starting to getting used to Tulane and those kinds of things. Now is a good time, of year for second semester freshmen to start thinking about internships, those kinds of things, and start figuring out their summer plans and what they may look like. Do they want to take summer school? Do they want an internship? Those kinds of things. So that can be also a great conversation to have one-on-one with one of our career consultants and advisors and coaches to figure out what you want to do for your summer, what that looks like. We have some students who are like, I have to work this summer. So whatever my experience is, it's going to be something that takes up less time. We have students who are going to go to med school. Those students are like, I need a shadowing experience. How do I do that? Where, and talk through that. Tulane has a research network. So students who are interested in research can get on the research network and look at those. Some of our students are going to be interested in REUs, talking through the process of applying for REUs, those kinds of experiences. So it really kind of depends what they want to do with the summer. I will be honest, many industries have many different timelines. So it really kind of depends what they want to do. If they want to do a federal government internship, they need to start early. Do you know what I mean? So it kind of depends on the time cycle for some of what they want to do.
Yep. And Kathryn, isn't it the case that some career fields are going to want students who've had a little bit more time and courses and built up some more education in those specifics of the field or certain types of subject matter before they're really willing to consider them as an intern for the summer? So I know that I've heard different colleagues from your areas also talk about the fact that, a summer job, if approached with the right kind of mindset in terms of really kind of building up references and being on time, being responsible, being willing to take on more responsibility, kind of proving themselves in whatever they might do during the summer, that might still be a really worthwhile thing to do in that summer between first year and sophomore year, while they're adding more expertise and subject matter to their tool belt kind of. So I think parents should also help guide students in kind of that direction, that they may not get like the most plum kind of internship that might be more likely to go to a rising senior because they've had more of that experience and everything, but to just be purposeful about whatever they do and try to be kind of take a value add approach to it too. So, but don't let them kind of just coast that first summer between first year and sophomore year. So that's my little 2 cents from kind of collecting that wisdom from a lot of you over the years. So here's another question.
That's spot on. The other thing, and we usually push this, and Sarah, you can chime in. We like our students to get 2 internships before they graduate from Tulane. It gives you a little bit of experience. It could be a volunteer experience. It could be a part-time job. It could be a shadowing experience that doesn't last very long. So there can be different ways. It could be a micro internship. We work with some micro internship companies. So there are a lot of different ways that can look, but we want to get them to get some practical experiential learning, at least 2 of them before they graduate, to help guide them where they may want to consider.
Yeah, and in the business school, we say if you want an internship, we're going to help you get an internship, even if it is in your first summer. But I will say, even though there are tons of opportunities posted on a handshake, the vast majority of first-year internships come from a student's already existing social capital and career capital. So that means through their parents' connections and through their friends' parents' connections.
Yes.
And if your student is coming in with less of that career capital, no worries, because we've found that parents tend to support their students' friends also. So think about how you can help another student who isn't your student.
Yeah, we've had staff members who would say, you might not want your own child working for you this summer, but you might be willing to have another Tulane student. So if everybody would just kind of network with each other, we could handle all those things. So a question is, do students use their Tulane ID to sign into VMOC and Big Interview, or do they have to pay some kind of membership fee?
All included.
Everything we've shown you today is included. Tulane pays for all this. If they get asked for money, they've gone through the non-Tulane portal to that, and please don't pay it. Come back to us and we will get them in the right portal. Everything is included today.
And let's just be really clear too. A lot of Tulane parents have already paid for this.
Yes,
In
I
their
thought
tuition.
Yes.
So here's another question. How would a student majoring in child psychology find an internship? Which career path would this belong to?
Well, go ahead.
So child psychology, and depends how you want to do it. So I've had students, psychology is a difficult kind of any place to get internships because you're not going to do direct counseling with a client population as an undergraduate student. You tend to start that process as a master's student. And so starting to think about populations you want to work with. I've had students get great experience working at camps, to get experience working with certain populations, working with individuals with disabilities, becoming autism line techs at different centers that provide behavior analysis to students. So it varies kind of depending on what you want to do and where you want to take it. But those are some of the areas. Child psychology is also connected to the education at Tulane. And so a lot of times you'll see students going into the classrooms and working with some of the partner schools at Tulane. So Willow School is one of those partner schools, but there are a lot of different ones across the city. So you're going to see different avenues of how you take this and where you take it. But again, that's a conversation we can have. Nonprofits can be another great area to go into, especially if the nonprofit is serving the population of the client population that you might potentially want to work with.
So we're about to run out of time. So I'm going to mention a couple of these that I will include in that follow-up email, and then we'll take a couple of others right here before we leave. So could you repeat the name of the in-house diplomat? And that information is on that website, correct?
Yes, his name is Shane Huff.
Okay.
Hough.
And then
and I will send the same link to make appointments with a career consultant and to make appointments with a career coach on the handshake link. And that link is on one of those blue buttons that says schedule appointment on the career engagement site. That same link takes you to make an appointment with the diplomat in residence. And that's how you make appointments with him.
Okay. The alumni networking platform is called Tulane Connect. And so we'll send that information in a follow-up email. The courses, those career development courses are emphasized in course selection. And in other words, your student's academic advisor is also very familiar with those courses. And some of them have even been, they are instructors for some of those, if I remember correctly. Maybe not currently, but some of them have in the past.
They are.
So that is certainly one of the options that the academic advisors will mention as they are meeting with students. So students just need to make sure that they're setting up appointments with their academic advisor so they can have plenty of time to kind of get that advice and consider lots of different options. And those are offered every semester so that, you know, there's different times that they can take that. So here's another question. My sophomore is a political economy major. Are there any relationships with congressional offices, think tanks, or other DC-based institutions where Tulane might have partnerships?
So yes, Tulane has a large network of alumni in DC. And so we definitely have students that do that. We definitely have coming up this semester and towards the end of February are going to be 2 political science nights. And so I want students who are in political science and political economy to check out those nights. We're going to have speakers coming in. We're going to have different events scheduled for those 2 nights. When I get solid information, I will also pass that on to Penny. I know the nights, I don't have a solid information exactly on what the night will look like right now, but we will soon. But those are 2 nights coming out. In the past, we've had representatives from the UN coming and speaking to classes on campus and speaking to our students. We've had people from the CIA come in. So you're going to see a lot of different kind of things. Tulane has a couple think tanks on Tulane's campus as well. We have the Cowan Institute. We have the Murphy Institute. You'll also see connections to DEC-based think tanks as well.
Sarah and Kathryn, are you available to stay for maybe like 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes, so we can take just a last couple of questions? So if a person has a student who's a senior in the business school and they're getting kind of stressed, they've applied to a lot of things, but nothing's coming about, how worried should they be, the parent asks?
Well, first of all, it depends on the major of the student, right? and depends on the industry that they're looking to go into. But I would just say, don't worry. This is what I usually say to my students. Everybody take a deep breath, because the worst thing you can do is be freaking out. Just trusting that the process works. A lot of times what happens if there are lots of applications that are going out is that they are not tailored to the specific job descriptions, and therefore the automatic tracking system is throwing them out. So we can help with that process. If they are also just sort of shooting tons of applications out without doing the networking, that can be an issue, because the whole goal is to make sure in that 1,000-person stack that you make sure that you don't get thrown out. So we're here to help with that. I would just recommend coming to see a consultant, and they're even welcome to come visit with me.
Great. So you would say, don't get so stressed that you get paralyzed. Instead,
Exactly.
make an appointment as soon as possible to ask for some help refining their approach.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that works for all seniors. Just so like that is great advice for all seniors.
So here, this will be the last one. All of you who are on the call know that we're collecting your questions. If we find that there was something that we couldn't get to, then we'll try to craft a response to that I'll send in that email, the follow-up email I'll send you in a couple of days. So this will be our last one. If about 60% of campuses are using Handshake, can you give some insight into how Tulane students stand out and how your career counseling services stand out?
That's a great question.
I love it.
So I will say Tulane is different than other schools in the respect that we have so many students who cross majors in a different way than we're going to see at other schools. And so our technique and our way we work with it, and I apologize for my dogs, I'm sorry, but our technique and the way we work with students is really a one-on-one approach. We are very focused that and our approach is very much from freshman to senior. We want to see all of our students at any stage in the process and work with them to reach their goals and figure out what those goals are. And as they refine their goals, we also realize students will change their major while they're at the Tulane, or they will keep their major and change their career path. And we want to work with students through that process. And so a lot of what we do is very individualistic, because we want to work with our students and make sure that they're utilizing all the things that they have and building that personal brand, building that awareness about themselves, and building that technique to kind of bring that and share that with employers and network and alumni and all the kind of areas they work through.
Yep. And not every Handshake employer is posting out to every college. So some of those employers might be Tulane alums who are specifically looking for Tulane students. So that's one potential way. The other piece is just recognizing that your student has something special here at Tulane, and if they find internal advocates that they can talk about their experience, what I find is that everybody loves talking about New Orleans. So if you can say, hey, I'm a student in New Orleans, I'd love to chat a bit about your career, oftentimes people will agree to that, get on the phone with them.
So we're going to wrap up. I will just mention one other thing for parents and that is that Tulane Connect platform is also open to our current students' parents to join that, so that you can be in that inventory of people who are willing to connect with other Tulaneans. And so it can be, as I think you can designate sort of the level of engagement that you're interested in. So it might just be that you're willing for somebody to email you about your field, or you can work through that to offer internships, or just give kind of different levels of things. So I think that I'll give you the information about that, so that if you want to enter into that network, then you might be helpful for someone else's child, or some other person who's on this call might be a future advocate or resource for your student. So we'll give you that information in a follow-up email. So I just want to thank everybody. I especially want to thank Sarah and Kathryn for their time and attention and preparation for tonight's webinar. And to all of you who joined us, we're really grateful that you did.